Welcome to the 2017 LA Bike and Ped Count training video. Please watch this video in its entirety. At the end, you'll find a link to a quiz pertaining to the material seen throughout this video. Everyone should pass this test before moving on. The Bike and Ped Count is brought to you by Lake CBC and Los Angeles Walks, and presented by Metro. What to bring for the day of the counts? First of all, know your location. So I want you to go to la-bike.org.count. We'll give you all the information. The other thing that you'll need as well is a watch, timer, or a phone so you can record in 15-minute intervals, which we'll explain soon. Count forms. Everyone should have count forms. They'll be available off of the page Count 17. You'll find a link that'll give you all the count forms. It'll include a cover page and 8 count pages. A clipboard. We have them here available at the office if you're able to swing by. But if not, please bring your own. A pen or a pencil. We prefer either is actually okay. Make sure to bring multiple, because if you get stuck with one that goes out, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Wear your count shirt. If you happen to stop by the office, we've got a number of count shirts here. Hat, sunscreen, folding chair, snacks, water. This is all important because you'll be outside for 2 hours. Make sure to go to the restroom ahead of time, just so that you don't have to go and leave the count for any amount of time. And then lastly, take down our number, 213-629-2142, on the day of the counts. If you have any questions, please go ahead and call us. Number one rule, please don't be late. The counts are for the full 2 hours. Sometimes we've had somebody who's shown up an hour late, and the problem is we can't compare these counts versus previous counts. Even if you've missed a few minutes, it makes it really hard to get the correct numbers. So please get there early so you can find out where you're supposed to count and how to, where a good point is to set up. So, all right, let's move on with the process. So the first thing you'll see when you print up the sheets is this is going to be your cover sheet. This is the first page, and you're going to have to fill out this information yourself. The date of the count, which right now will most likely be either Wednesday, September 20th, or Saturday, September 23rd. The second column, count periods. Basically, if you're going to just do one count, 7 to 9 a.m., you'd fill that out at the top. Most people, if you're going to do multiple counts, you could put them all, the other 8 counts on a sheet and staple them in, but we prefer you actually doing a separate cover page. And then number of pages will be 1 of 9. Some counts require 2 people. It was in the upper right-hand corner, but if you have a count with 2 people, it'll be noted on the sign-up page. That'll be like the very heavily traveled areas like Hollywood and Highland, MacArthur Park. If you do share a location, both of you will share the same screen line, which we'll explain in a second, but you'll both basically be on the opposite sides of the street from each other. We will also contact you and your partner ahead of time to coordinate where you will set up and on which side. Basically, one counter is going to count from the middle of the street on their side back to them. The other person is going to count all the way to the other side, or just on their half as well. Preparing the form. At the bottom of the form, you're going to see additional variables to count. Basically, check off all the ones underneath. Bicyclists, you're going to look for females, wrong way riding, sidewalk riding, and no helmet, which I'll explain. In terms of pedestrians, you're going to click off the 2 bottom areas as well. Wheelchair, special needs is one category. Skateboard, scooters, skates, anything that is human propelled but not a bike, that goes there. The other column on the right, only fill that in later. I normally leave that out because that's basically if you see something on your own that you think needs to be counted, like, for example, children. But sometimes that gets in the way because there's a lot of other things going on. These are secondary factors which you'll count on top of the regular factors. So the main thing that you'll see in the center of that count sheet is picking your screen line. That's basically what you're going to mark on the street as a little happy face and a line for where you set up. There's going to be the primary street. Our offices are on Spring, so that would be Spring would be the primary. Cross Street 1 would be 7th Street to our south, and 6th Street on our right. So please arrive at the location 15 minutes ahead of the count period so you could lock your bike, get situated. You're going to find when you get there that there's a lot more stuff going on than you imagine. It's going to take you a little while to settle in and get used to people coming by. Once you've arrived, find a safe location. That's why sometimes, like on one side of the day, it might be more shaded than the other. So scout that out. Might take you a while to get across the street to the other side. That's why we ask you to get there early. Also, we ask you to find a safe location. Like, don't stand in a driveway if a car may comes. You're also going to stand as far back on your side of the street as possible in the sidewalk. You're going to sidewalk. You'll be counting from one sidewalk to the other, and anything that passes straight ahead for you. So you also want to make sure like a location provides you the best view of pedestrians and bicyclists traveling both directions. So if there's a tree in your way, or if there's some things parked, you may want to move a few feet one way or the other. And screen lines with 2 volunteers. Those are locations with high pedestrian or bicycle volumes that have been assigned 2 volunteers to help with the count. Let's see. In terms of your screen line, you're going to see off at the count page, and you'll be sent this. This is a list of every intersection that we're counting at. And it gives you a guidelines of approximately where you want to stand. So if you're on 6th Street between Hill and Olive, you want 10 meters west of Hill. Some places give you an actual location, like Langer's Deli, and other parts of this form will give you a hyperlink to the exact spot. Once you have a spot, the one that you've already assigned to, in the center part, you're going to enter the street. So once again, like LACBC, it would be Spring Street. On the left side would be 7th, and to our right would be 6th. Next thing you're going to focus on is which direction is the street, are the cross streets leaning towards. So on Spring Street, for example, looking right to left to me is going to be going south. On the opposite side, on the bottom, you're going to circle north. If you have trouble figuring out, don't worry, you're able to ask questions, but this is just to help us orient where you are and which direction those arrows are pointing. So for example, right here on the image on the left, you're going to see right the word Figueroa. That is a location that was listed on one of the counts. On the lower right, the image over there, it's actually the image is kind of flipped around. You're looking at the other side of Figueroa, and basically the happy face is where the person is standing back to the curb, and that person is going to be counting every person or cyclist that crosses that area all the way to the building on the opposite side of the street. You notice that there's a staircase, walkway where people can walk behind. Basically, you're going to count people that are within the width of the sidewalk. And you can see here in the diagram, this person go ahead north was circled for the direction that street was facing north, put a happy face and a line, and then south on the opposite side. Other thing that you're going to check off is bikeway type at this location. Do not check this off ahead of time. We have a few locations already where there's construction, and some of the infrastructure is impacted. As you can see, the main ones are bike path, bike lane, bike route, and sharrows. Basically, bike boulevard, you're not going to count because we're not counting on any bike boulevard, and the sharrows underneath that section you're going to skip. So let me show you some examples. A bike path on the upper left is, a dedicated bike path, like the LA River, Orange Line bike path. It's a bike path that's separated from regular traffic. A bike lane, like I think we're all familiar with, it's typically a lane that is on the street, but there are other characteristics you may add. In the lower left, that is a painted buffer. And on the lower right, that is a colored and painted buffer. You may see a sign that says bike route. If you see a sign anywhere in the street that says bike route, please check that off. If you happen to see any sharrows, click that check that off right underneath the bike route. And Bike Boulevard, we have little images. Yucca is the only bike boulevard in the city of Los Angeles, but we are not counting on that street. So once again, to reiterate, a bike path is totally separate from traffic, like the LA River Bike Path or the Marvin Browdy Bike Path or Ballona Creek. A bike lane is a painted white lane on the street, giving bicyclists designated space on the street. A bike lane may also have a painted buffer, which is space between the bike lane and the adjacent general lane hashed out with white paint. Example is Main Street in downtown. Bike route, it's got a green sign. It says bike route, and a bike route may have sharrows, which has a symbol with 2 chevrons. Now we're going to move on to the 2nd through 9 page. This is where you're going to do all your counting in the 15-minute intervals. On each page, we need you to write the location. So that'd be Spring between 6th and 7th Street. On the bottom, you're going to write on every page the count period. So if you're doing the morning shift, you're going to do 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on each page so we know the interval. On the upper part, this page, the first page of your count form, you're going to do, if it's 7 to 9 a.m., you're going to do 7 to 7:15. You can see there's a quarter of a clock there. On your third page, you're going to do 7:15 to 7:30, and so on. On the upper right, you're going to write the number of pages. So your first count page is going to be 2 of 9, 3 of 9. So these 8 quarters will bring you to the full 2 hours. And then there's also a rain factor in there. If there's going to be rain on the day, we will cancel it. But if there happens to somehow be a micro shower in that 15-minute rain period, please mark it in the rain column. Now, be sure to count in 15-minute intervals. I would go ahead and make sure you test your phone, like have the alarm go off 15 minutes and just keep, and have it keep set. I personally like scheduling, so my phone will ring every time instead of having to reset the alarm. Once you've completed 8 pages, the 2-hour shift, you're done. But please start your count right on time at the hour, because we're going to be comparing against previous counts. So let's start counting. So in the first column on the left, you see that's circled, people on bikes right to left. So basically you're going to be counting the number of cyclists in your screen line straight ahead that pass you from right to left. Whether they're on the sidewalk, in the street, you're basically counting the number of cyclists in that direction. Same thing on the opposite side. If you're counting on one side of the street, you only count the people on your direction. You can see it's a little bit off-centered there, but we want people to count with the 5 dashes. It's just easier to do. You don't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That takes a long time. At the same time, you're going to be counting for each cyclist's secondary factors. So if the person is a female, you're going to mark down the person is going, for example, right to left and is a female. If the person is riding on the sidewalk, you go ahead and you can count that as well. Wrong way riding, that only occurs in the roadway. So if somebody's riding the opposite direction of the sidewalk, that doesn't count. No helmet, very obvious. If you're riding without a helmet, you're going to count that too. Now what you can see here is you sometimes may have someone that's got multiple characteristics. Like in this case, you counted someone going right to left, but it was a female that was wrong way riding on the street and wasn't wearing a helmet. This will happen often, so it gets a little tricky when you mark on the left and then have to go back to the right to add the factors. The pedestrians are counted the same way. You're counting people that cross your screen line from right to left, or left to right, right in front of you. The special characteristics you're going to see is wheelchair or special needs. So that's basically anybody that needs any type of assistance while they're on the sidewalk. That includes with a walker or a cane, Skateboard, scooter, skates, anything that other than a bike that is moving a person, we're going to count down that column as well. And if you want to add other factors like two-wheeled scooters versus three-wheeled scooters, you're welcome to do it. All right, so we've gone through the basics of the count. We're just going to go ahead and do a count test with these images. So the two people in the foreground, how would you count them? You would mark two people on the bikes, and then on the right-hand side, you'd be marking them going left to right. You put two marks, two people on bikes, left to right, two people with no helmet, and one female. Yes, two people on the same bike count as two cyclists because they're moving by bicycle. So this family here counts as
two girls.
If you can see the girls in there, yes, please count them. We're not sure because of the fuzzy image, but 4 people on a bike, 4 people sidewalk riding, and they're all wearing helmets this time. This here, 2 people. This is going to be
left to right.
Left to right, yes. 2 pedestrians, 1 in a wheelchair.
Two girls, 3 people.
This one is, sometimes you notice it's going to be simpler than you actually think. This is just 3 pedestrians. You know, these are 3 people walking. If this one will answer your question.
2 pedestrians.
2 pedestrians walking left to right. 1 stroller, special needs. Okay.
No helmet.
Now, this person isn't riding a bike. This person is actually a pedestrian that's walking with a bike. So if you see anybody who's walking with a bike and not riding it, please count them as a pedestrian. That kind of tells us, maybe the street isn't used the right way. What happens in this, this situation where there's too many people? Well, this is like Hollywood and Highland. This area, you're just basically going to have to do your best and kind of like group them and count them together. We can have like a pretty high volume of people. So people at this location, you have a lot of people walking by, but you know, you're just going to have to basically try and group them in 5 and, you know, do the best that you can. Multiple pass situation. Multiple passes when someone walks across your screen line and goes by again and again. In this case, you count them again and again. Sometimes, like for example here, in front of our office, we get somebody that comes out of their building, gets coffee and comes back. That kind of shows you how the area is used. If they walk by more than the 3rd time, you know, please make a note of that. That way we can kind of tell, like, maybe if somebody is trying to skew the count. It's very unlikely, but it's good just to have the note so we can go back and reference it. So once again, 2 people riding a tandem bike, count as 2 bicyclists. A parent with a child in a seat in a trailer, count as 2 bicyclists. A person pushing another person in a wheelchair or stroller, they're both pedestrians. A person walking while carrying a child, they're 2 pedestrians. And anyone traveling on anything other than a bicycle is a pedestrian. So on a bicycle. So wheelchair, skateboard, anything else. Some of your screen lines will be near a bus stop. What we want to make sure, and some of these sometimes have changed with the bus stops, is you don't want to be in a location where right as people are getting off. So you're going to move a little to the left or a little to the right. There's some places where there may be 2 or 3 buses that load, so you may have to go closer to the front of the intersection where it's too close for the bus to let out. And once again, only count when crossed. You know, there's cases where you think somebody may come, but it'll happen. Somebody will turn around once they hit your line. So don't count anyone until after they've crossed. Okay, let's see if we can bring up this quick little video.
All right, let's do a little test count. We're going to be using the right edge of the yellow canopy across the street as our screen line. Any person that crosses, whether on a bike or a pedestrian, we will count. And there's our first person. That would be one cyclist going right to left, no helmet. Now this is a one-way street that goes right to left. And right now we have a person in front going left to right, and a person in the background went right to left. 1, 2 left to right, and as you see across the street, that was a pedestrian on skates coming up on our right. You're going to see 2 pedestrians, 1 stroller going right to left. And then right there, that's a cyclist, female, no helmet, sidewalk riding. Another person left to right. So we're counting people on both sides of the street. I know I've missed a couple, but it's a lot slower to talk than it is to actually count. Here we've got 1, 2, 3 left to right, and 1 going right to left. Now this street itself is a one-way street going right to left, so anybody that's cycling in the street going left to right would be wrong way riding. 1, 2 right there, right to left. So anyways, you get the gist of it. Just be patient because you'll get flurries of activity. You'll have buses going by in the front that may occlude your view, right to left. But just be patient. Get there early. Practice a little bit with counts like these, and you'll have no problem.
I hope so. Basically, you're going to have a lot of different people that are out there. You know, just be aware. That's why I say get there a little bit early, because that way you can kind of go ahead and see and get used to it. I almost do a practice count ahead of time. The most important thing, please be accurate, okay? You do not want anyone like adding or, you know, changing the numbers for what they are. First of all, these numbers are going to go against numbers from previous years. So if a location is bloated versus previous numbers, we're going to look at it. Also note if something weird happens. There was a count where we were getting like 5 cyclists every 15 minutes, and then we got 50. We called the person up, and they said, oh, well, there was a group ride that went by. So if there's something kind of strange in there, please go ahead and add that. Also, if your numbers at the location are low, don't worry about it. That's okay. We've got 150 locations. The point is to see some of these locations, see what works and what doesn't work. And things might have changed between when we did the count 2 years ago to where they are now. So please be completely accurate, and we want those types of numbers. Returning your forms, you'll get an email about that, but we're going to have various locations, one in West LA, Northeast Los Angeles at Cafe de Leche, one on the west side, one in South LA at Trust. I've got the other locations coming soon. You can also drop them off at LACBC if you can, where you can also come pick up your t-shirt. Please have them in by this Monday, or the Monday following the counts, 9/26. And if you can't cut any of these locations, please scan them or take really high-res photos of them and email them to count@la-bike.org.
Thank you for watching the video. Please proceed to the following link, www.la-bike.org/count-video-quiz. It's a simple 9-question quiz that pertains to all the information seen in the video. Everyone should pass this test before continuing on to their count. Thank you.